Endless Ocean wasn't the first scuba game, but it did make a bigger splash than any before it. Most of you probably don't know what Everblue is, for example, but whether you love it or you hate it, you probably know about Endless Ocean, which gives me a fitting context with which to describe this game. They should have called it Endless Ocean of Blood. But regrettably, Cosmonaut Games took a different route. This is Dive, the MEDES Island Secret, a downloadable game available on the Nintendo Wii's WiiWare service. And I'm only suggesting a little nomenclatural morbidness because Dive is essentially Endless Ocean with a sense of impending doom. And gigantic man-eating eels which may or may not be robotic. That's where Dive sets itself apart. It may look and control like a 2D game of Endless Ocean, but there are substantial differences between the two games as well. Dive is a more traditional game in the sense that you have a very specific set of objectives. This isn't the swim at your own pace game of sightseeing that Endless Ocean is. In Dive, there's a constant sense of pressure that's created by more than just water depth. You play the game from a 2D perspective, swimming through deep aquatic caverns while searching for treasure. The locations of your targets appear on your radar, but finding them isn't as easy as you might think. The levels have a maze-like quality, and they inspire a sense of dread and claustrophobia not unlike Metroid. It's easy to pursue the wrong tunnels, and with limited oxygen, that can be a fatal mistake. And that's perhaps the most interesting aspect of Dive. With every stroke you take, your oxygen tank is steadily depleting, and you have to find fresh oxygen, conveniently hidden throughout the maze, to keep your dive alive and your pulsing. There's no petting whales or taking notes on coral. You're too busy worrying about, breathing. Not to mention the fact that every animal you encounter in this game wants to destroy you. It's comforting that you're equipped with a blowgun, but that does very little to alleviate the constant pressure you're under in Dive. It forces you into making some sacrifices too. There's a primary treasure in each of the game's levels, but there are also several optional treasures. And finding those earns you money, which you can spend on better equipment, which allows you to dive further. But because of your limited oxygen, which further drains every time an animal touches you, you find yourself skipping secondary loot just to find the primary treasure and to survive. And yes, don't be deceived by its appearance because survival can be a real chore in Dive. Another area in which it deviates from the Endless Ocean blueprint, Dive is a bit more challenging than you might expect. In fact, this game defies a lot of expectations, at least it did for me. What looks to simply be a 2D version of Endless Ocean proves to be a whole lot more, and although the game feels more like a lake than an ocean in terms of depth, there's a surprisingly rewarding experience to be had in Dive, the MEDES Island Secret.